Welcome to Crafting with Rec. I'm Miss Adrian. And today we're going to be working on learning how to do square knot bracelets. The first thing we're going to do, I'm going to tell you the supplies that you need to do this project. You're going to need some hemp string. You're going to need beads. You're going to need your scissors. You may need your tape because I'm going to show you a technique with your tape, and then you can also have like a core board to put your hemp on, and we have the pins to hold it down. First thing we're going to do, we're going to pick out our colors, and the color that I chose today was brown. So what I did was I did 3 arm lengths of the brown. So we do arm lengths, 1, 2, 3. And we're going to take this and we're going to cut this in half. Okay, so now we have 2 pieces. We're going to take our bead. We need 1 bead. And we're going to take that bead and put it on. And you'll understand once we get to the end why this bead is important. If you look at this one, it has a bead beginning at the beginning. So this is why we start at the beginning, because at the end we're going to make a knot. Now there is other ways that you can do this. And if we had a bead with that ties on both ends, you tie them on both ends, and you do the same thing for both sides. You're going to have 3 strings on both sides. And this one closes different, so you just pull it together to close it. You can also use larger string, which makes a more bigger effect, but it's the same thing with the hemp. That's just the bigger hemp thread. Okay, now we're going to take our bead and we're going to make a knot. So that's a slip knot. And the most important thing that I usually do, so you can take it and pin it on here so it won't move on you. And so what I do is my 2 threads in the middle, they never move. They always stay in the middle. My end threads are the threads that's going to be more important. And what I usually do is I usually take a bead and I put it on the end so that I'll know which one is my loop. Because this loop is always going to be your loop. This string with the bead on it. It's always going to be your loop. So this is why I'm tying a bead on the end. Okay. So this is my loop with my bead on it. We're going to take this next thread that's on the end, and remember our middle threads never move. So we're going to take our next one. I'm going to have to put this in my hand. This is not going to work for me. Okay, so remember, bead, loop, and we loop it around on top of our middle strings. We're going to take our next string under both strings in the middle that don't move, and you're going to put it inside that loop. Now remember, sometimes I say tape is the best thing. You can't always work on this board. So I think I'm going to use the tape. And show you that technique. It may be easier for you to use the tape. So we're just going to take a piece of tape and we're going to tape this down just so it won't move. And we know our middle strings don't move our bead is always our loop. We're going to put these 2 middle strings in our hand. We're going to make our loop. Take our right hand string and put it back in the middle. Bring it through, and then we're going to pull it. And then we're going to keep repeating the same thing. Remember, your bead is always your loop. So you're looping, you're bringing that thread over on top of that one that has the loop, and we're going to put it inside. So remember, our middle strings don't move. Okay, now remember, our bead is always our loop. So we're going to put it down, lay that string on top, and remember, we're going under the bottom, under the 2 strings in the middle. Pull it through. Make sure you keep your strings in the middle straight, and just bring it till it's tight. Remember, bead with the loop. Over and under. Okay, I'm going to move the tape so you can see how it's coming out. Okay, so we have this. So now we want to add a bead on here. So we're going to take our 2 middle strings, put them together, and we're going to put a bead on. We're going to put both strings through that bead. Sometimes it's hard to put both strings through the bead. Okay, so we got our bead and it's going down on our middle. So remember, same thing. The one with the bead is always your loop. So you are looping over, and you're going to take your thread under, bring it through, and remember, your strings in the middle, keep them nice and tight, because you want this string to lay flat on your bead. If you pull it too tight, it's going to go under. So there we go, it's on the side. So remember, your strings in the middle, don't move. You're going to take the string with the bead on it, cross it over, go under, and pull it through. Make sure your strings in the middle is tight, straight, okay? Sometimes it's easier to work in your hand, so we're gonna bead on the end. It's always our loop. 2 middle strings, which do not move. Hold, and go under. So I'm gonna tape this back down so you all can see. Okay. Bead on the end is always your loop. And you can say that to yourself when you're doing it. It makes it much easier that the bead on the end is always your loop. So sometimes you may have to say it to yourself. Bead on the end is my loop. I'm going to make that loop. You're going to take your string, put it under and inside the loop, and you are going to pull. And then I'm gonna show you one more other little technique with the 2 strings in the middle that don't move. We're gonna put a little tape on here. If it's too much for you, we're gonna put a little tape on the end. And remember, our bead on the end is always our loop. We're gonna take this one and we're gonna go right under the 2 strings in the middle and inside the loop, and we're gonna pull them. So now we don't have to worry about our middle strings because I tied them down. Okay, bead, always our loop. Our next string is gonna come over under the 2 strings in the middle into our loop. And there we go, we're gonna pull our strings together. And we're gonna continue to do this. If you wanna learn how to do this, we're doing this at Glenville Rec Center. The number there is 216-2516. That's 216-664-2516. Or either you can come to Cadell Fine Arts, which is 664-4183. Okay, bead. Now we want to add, maybe we won't add another bead. So, I have some Kyrie shells in here. So we're going to take the Kyrie shell and we're going to put it on here. Remember, you're using both strings in the middle. We're going to slide this bead on there. Give it a little different look here. Then we're going to take our bead with our string with our bead, make our loop. Take your other string on top of the string with the bead, and you're going to put it in under the bottom of the 2 strings in the middle. And we're going to tie it. Kyrie shell may sit up a little bit because it is not on both ends. So you're only putting that string on one end of the Kyrie shell. Remember, the bead on the end is always our loop. We're going to take the next string and go under and in the middle, and we're going to pull it. Same thing, we're going to just continue to do the same thing until we want to add another bead on. Our loop, our bead on the end, and take the other string, go under the 2 strings in the middle, and we're going to pull it. We're going to continue to do it. Bead on the end is always our loop. So we can make this a bracelet. You can make it an anklet. It depends on how much long you want to do it. The length that you would like to do it. Okay. Maybe I want to put another Kyrie shell on here. Or maybe we'll put a bead in between our Kyrie shells. So we're going to take a beige bead, put it on the 2 in the middle. That one don't want to fit. Let's find another bead here. Whoops. Another technique you can use, because this bead don't want to go on, we can get our tape again. And we're just going to put a little piece of tape on the end of the 2 in the middle, just so that we can get our bead on there. Just twist that around, and then we're going to get our bead on there. Okay. So remember, once again, the bead on the end with the loop is always your loop. The thread with the bead on the end is always your loop. You're going to take it, go up under, and continue. Remember, don't pull it too tight because it's going to make your bead go up, your threads under. So you want your threads to be on the side. Going to take it, make you another loop, and continue. Just keep repeating. Say it to yourself. Always say it to yourself. The bead is always my loop. And you're going to just continue. Bead is always my loop. Bead is always my loop. If you're doing a necklace or a choker, you may want to do a 7 yards. Usually a bracelet or anklet is about 3.5 yards of a hemp. Okay. Bead is always my loop. Okay. So we got this bead on. I'm gonna move this up a little bit. Our bead is always our loop, and we're gonna continue to go. Oops. Bead is always our loop. And always remember, I took my bead off, but I remember which one is my string for my end. Okay. So, this probably will fit a little kid. So we're going to take and we're going to tie our strings together. So we're going to just tie 1 time, tie 2 times. Then we're going to turn it around on the other side, on our back side, and we're going to tie it twice on this side. Okay, so remember these is our 2 end threads. So we already tied them twice on the front, twice in the back. So we're gonna make these, we're gonna cut these off. Sometimes if you're working with the more so this has to be burnt on the ends so that it won't ravel. Okay, now we have our 2 strings left in the middle. So we're going to take these and we're going to tie these twice. Oops. So we're going to tie these twice. Okay, then we're going to take and put a slip knot. So you can use both threads or you can use 1 thread and do your slip knot. Sometimes it's best to use 1 thread, but if you want it to hold longer, you can use both threads, make a slip knot. And the slip knot has to fit over that first bead that you used. Okay, so we got a slip knot in here, and this is too big for the end, so we're gonna make the slip knot come down a little bit, tighten it up. Want to make sure it fits over that bead, and we're gonna just take it and tie it again. Take it and tie another slip knot in there, but this time we're gonna tighten this knot all the way up. And then you're going to take it and just tie it 2 or 3 more times. Okay, now we can cut these threads off. Okay, now we have a little bracelet for a little kid. Just put that together. So once again, if you want to learn how to do the square knot or any other of the knots to make a bracelet, come to the City of Cleveland Recreation Center. Glenville Recreation Center is, phone number is 216-664-2516, or you can come to Cadell Fine Arts at 216-664-4183. Thank you for watching Crafting with Rec. I'm Miss Adrian, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.